Hi, it's Andy Wolf here. Hey, I'm just in the equipment room down here at the finish pavilion. Came down after skiing today just to pick up, reclaim my vacuum cleaner and my battery charger because we found the charger or Mike found the charger for the die packs. So we're all good for that. But hey, I published the other day an idea on how we might run races with limited numbers, and it's really just a clockwork slalom or GS. That's all it is. It's a tech event that's run very closely on schedule. So the idea would be that there'd be three fields. There'll be three separate sections. There'll be the start corral, so everything north of the start wand. There'd be the field of play, which is everything between the start wand, the fences, and the finish line. And then there'd be the finish corral would be the third area. And the numbers would be limited at any particular time. Entrance would be controlled into the start corral. Entry would be controlled onto the course, and then entry exit would also be controlled. So here's the idea: is that the net crew was, of course, set up the net and everything's ready to go. And then you'd have a set crew. So you'd have the course setter. You'd have a couple of coaches to help out. Perhaps there's up to three, and there might be the chief of course plus two other course workers. So that's six. The jury is there to observe and help. So that's another five. So now we're up to 11 only. And we'd put the timing guys in, plus the starter, so that gets us up close to 15. So that group would go through and do the course set and the jury inspection and so on, and then it would be done. And then athletes would, after that group exited, then the athletes would come in and inspect, hopefully by themselves, and the coaches can meet them in the finish area. I certainly believe that athletes should learn to coach by themselves at a very young age, and they don't. I don't think they inspect a lot when they're training, so they should get used to it pretty quick. So they would all go through. We then we get onto the race agenda. So the jury would be distributed on the hill. So there's five. And then we've got the starter, and we'd have a start controller. So here's the way it would work. You'd have two groups of 4 athletes plus their coach. So that's 8 athletes and 2 coaches would come into the start corral. The 2 coaches would slip down to where the referee would be, or the referee videographer. So that's going to be a coach who's going to be there the entire time and will video every single athlete as they come through. So not only do they replace the gate judges, but they also eliminate the need for coaches to do individual videos of their athletes. So the coaches would be slippers. So they would slip down and off they would go. Their 8 athletes would go through, and then they'd slip out and go out. Now, in addition, each jury member that's in the field of play, so the chief of race, the referee, and the technical delegate, and that's normally the way we have them staggered on the hill. Each one would have a course crew with them, a drill and a shovel. And the chief of course would be with the start referee at the top. So we'd have 4 people that are dedicated to the maintenance of the course on the way through. So the 8 athletes would go through, and they would be replaced by another 8 and another 2 coaches, and they would just replicate it. So we're using the coaches as slippers. We're using the referee to replace the gate judges, as well as the other members of the jury who all have cards. And after each group of 8 athletes go through, each course crew member would rotate one position, and very quickly, with probably one interval only, they'd be able to slip, and they'd be able to do any course maintenance that's required. Plus, they'd always be in place, ready to replace any poles or pull up any flags if things go. We can certainly get by a couple athletes if a flag comes off. So it's very tightly controlled. So there'd be above the start corral, the access controller there would be someone maintaining the numbers that would be getting in. the starter would be also announcing on an open, or the start referee would be announcing on the jury channel the number of the athletes going, so that the videographer would always be able to say number 43 on course, and that's how you would identify the athletes, and that's normally how coaches do it. I've often seen it where the video control coach would a coach would stand behind the video controller and just read off the start list as they go. So say it out loud. That way the person doing the video control doesn't have to look down at the start list every time someone's just feeding them that information. So you can rotate pretty quickly through that if once the first run is done, and you can run through athletes for the entire club that way. And if you need to have different starts for different athletes, then you're just going to have to be creative about the starts, and you can integrate at least 2 starts into with a common finish, if you can. If not, then we're going to have to use the interval time as the start for the younger athletes if they start lower down, but we should be able to do that without any problem. So that's well under 25 people in the field of play at any one time. I think the number counts to 19 when I added them up the other day, so it's pretty easy to do. Now I ran into I had a problem with my big toe in my boot, and Philip Kunstad was kind enough to take a look at it. But there was a parent in there from Camp Fortune, and I never mind with a little pointed stick in my hand. So I asked the parent, if they were planning on any racing. He went, no, not at all. Yeah, and he was going on about 25 people and so on. And I said, well, that's no problem. I figured out that I can run it with 9 or 10 people. Not a big deal. We've run NORAMs like that at COP. We certainly did that a few years ago. But he seemed limited in that. And I said, well, how many U14s do you have at your club? And he goes, 40. And I said, they all train at the same time? And he goes, yeah. And I said, seems to be more than 25 to me. So some people seem to be able to figure it out in some ways, but as soon as you apply it to racing, people tend to stumble. And so it's just antiseptic. Everybody carries a little bottle of Lysol. I don't have mine in my pocket right now, but you can get these, and you can certainly spray anything to your heart's content, or you can carry a big bottle of Lysol with you if you want, if you have big enough pockets. But I know when I lend my equipment now, and I also have a set of rules. The business cards are getting printed up, but it's just basically these are the rules that we live by when we're running a race, and it's just reminders of social distancing and appropriate behavior. So not too hard to do. What's really important, though, is that the chief of race maintains a very firm grasp on the running of the race, and that one person's in charge, and they're saying, okay, this is what happens at each time. So having a program and using the FIS program for the day is really important, because you need to be in the right place at the right time. And basically, if you're not part of your 4 athletes and coach when it's your turn to enter the start corral, you're not going to get in. Okay, we just don't have time to dick around. I think everybody's used to following rules these days, and certainly athletes should be well in tune. And I think this, when I describe it like this, and access that things are, people will grasp it pretty quickly. Now, what are we going to give up? Well, here we're not giving up timing, because the guys upstairs in the timing building are way out by themselves. They're nowhere near any of those 3 separate areas. We're going to do without gate judges proper, which is the way we're going in World Cup anyway. We just try to eliminate the number of people on the side of the hill. So the jury members who have line of sight anyway will be maintaining the cards, and then we'll have video control as well. What else are we going to give up? We're going to give up hand timing. We don't need people at the start and at the finish in the field of play. We'll just forego that. I can't recall the last time in a regional race that we've had to do an electronic equivalent time. So I can't see there being a problem with that. Our timing people are just top notch all the way around. So we can certainly try to figure that. Well, we'll just do it without. Okay, you get a rerun. So that's it. So maintenance of that, and start lists and so on. everything will be done on live timing. We're going to post everything to live timing. The results are going to go up on live timing. The start lists are going to go up on live timing. Everything is going to be there, so people can just pull it up on their phone, and everybody's well informed. And we don't have to have a results board, and we don't have to have all those other things. And somebody will figure out, whoever's managing the bibs on a regular basis for sanitary purposes. Well, they're going to figure out how the kids get their bibs and keep their bibs, and how we order through, run through the order of athletes will be probably at Bebo. I mean, we're all used. I mean, we can all figure out a second run, so I'm pretty sure we can figure out how to run athletes through at a different time. So, and what I'm proposing this for is not necessarily national points races, but certainly we can get a local club, we can get a club race organized. Every club can start doing it this way once the government agencies allow us to do that, depending, and if there's an issue in traveling between zones, well, guess what? If you're here at the area because you're normally trained here, well, then you get to race. If you're not, you're not. So all this cross area travel is becomes a non-issue. You live by COVID first, and then the race rules come in second. So anyway, that's just an idea, and I'm sure a lot of people will get pointed and involved, and there may be something that comes down. But I've run races a long time, and told CBC this summer when I was interviewed that, hey, if you tell me on Friday that I've got to run a race a certain way by Sunday, I'm going to have it figured out by Saturday. So safe and fair, and following all the rules. So that's just what I'm thinking anyway. I just like everybody to get thinking about this, and then just come down to a common say, this is the way we're going to do it. This is the way we're going to do it. Get used to it. Okay? It's not a time for a democracy. It's time for a benevolent dictatorship for us to get through in this. You can't run a ski race by committee. There's got to be one person saying this is the way we're going to do it, and if that happens to be the technical delegate, then so be it. But I'd prefer it be the chief of race who proposes this, the technical delegate, and the technical delegate says yes, that's the way. And I guess there's a chief of COVID control in there somewhere. I don't know. That's not my department. Anyway, just an idea. Andy Wolf here, Mont Saint Marie. Skiing's great, by the way. And it's really nice and bright sitting here. I'm overlooking the finish area, and I'm on the first floor, and the timing guys and anything else happens, the jury room's upstairs, so they've got a spectacular view. Yeah, I think this will work. What do you think? I think it'll work.